All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We're going to get started. I know we had a few people waiting, and so I hope you enjoyed some of our super fun cat jokes. We are going to be talking about cats, so this is the Cats of Nevada webinar. If you are at the wrong one, that's okay. You can stick around and learn about cats with us. So my name is Julie Watson. I am our wildlife education coordinator. I work for the Nevada Department of Wildlife at our headquarters office in Reno. And I am joined by Jessica Wolf. She is going to be helping us out in the chat box. She's our urban wildlife education coordinator, and she works out of our Reno office. And we are going to be working together on teaching you guys about cats. So we're going to spend the next 45 minutes to an hour talking about cats, and specifically the cats that live here in Nevada. So we know that cats are pretty mysterious. They're a charismatic species that people really, really like. They're really interested in them. And we are going to spend time hopefully making them a little less mysterious to you. And we know that sometimes cats can be a little scary to us as well. So we're going to talk about some of that and hopefully demystify some of our cats. So I want to let you all know that you are all muted. I can't hear or see you. So you are welcome to participate in this program from the comfort of your own home, however you feel comfortable. We will be using a couple different ways that you can engage with us, and that is why Jess Wolf is here. She's going to be helping out with the chat box, which is off. So we will be periodically turning it on and off. There are a lot of people on here. So with the chat box, we want to make sure that we keep it on topic, and I will give you different prompts on what we'll do in the chat box, and we will open the chat during certain times so that we can answer questions. So keep those questions up in your head, and then when the time comes, please put them in the chat box. This is a family program. This is a kid-friendly program. It is rated PG, so please keep any comments or questions in our chat box, PG-13. Otherwise, we'll have to turn the chat box off. So with that, there's another way that we will be able to interact while we are on this webinar, and that will be through polls. And so with that, we are going to do our first poll, a very important poll. So are you a cat person or a dog person? So I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll, and everyone can go ahead and click which one you think you are. Are you a cat person, a dog person, both, neither? And full disclosure, this is my dog, Ralph. And this cat over here is one of my close friends' cat, and I consider it part my cat. That's Samoa, and she's a beautiful, beautiful cat. So as people continue, oh, there's a couple people that are neither. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this poll up. So if you want to quick get your answer in, you've got about 5 seconds. Okay, so everyone can see the results. It looks like most of us that are in this webinar right now are both, which is awesome. I myself am both. I unfortunately only own a dog, though. I would totally have a cat if my fiance would let us have a cat, but he doesn't want a cat. So we've also got more dog people in here than cat people, and we've got a couple people that are neither, which is awesome. So thanks for sharing, guys. Very important question. Very important for us to continue on with this webinar. I know my audience now. So the next thing we are going to do is we are going to play a super fun game that I just invented called Feline or Faux. We're talking about cats, and I just invented this game so that we can get super excited about cats and kind of learn a little bit more about what a cat is. That's super important. So this game is called Feline or Faux, and this little kitten is my sister's kitten. Its name is Vera. It's so cute. And we are going to use the chat box for this. So what's going to happen is I'm going to show you two pictures of two different animals, and one of them might be a cat, one of them might not be a cat. They could also both be cats, and they could also both be nothing. So they are labeled. The pictures are labeled. So in the chat box, you are either going to put A, B, both, or neither. And you're going to tell me which one you think is the cat, because we're guessing feline or faux. So if you could go ahead and turn that chat box on, we're going to go ahead and get started with our first one. So again, I'm going to show you two pictures. They're going to be labeled A and B, and you're going to guess which one you think is a feline. And we've got a ton of answers coming in. And it looks overwhelmingly like everyone thinks this animal right here, which some people said, yes, this is a lion. It's an African lion. And it is our feline. And this other animal, A, is a coyote. Great job. Great job, guys. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one. So go ahead, let me know A, B, or neither. And if you know what these animals are, you can type that in the chat too. Good job. So we've got most people guessing A, and you guys are right. That is a jaguar. And our other one is not a feline, not a cat. That is a raccoon. Great job, guys. Ready for the next one? They're going to get a little tougher as we go. So we've got lots of guesses for A, and they're guessing a bobcat. Someone said a lynx. Ooh, someone said a lynx and a spotted skunk. So they're saying that A is a lynx and B is a spotted skunk. Ooh, someone's saying both. Ooh. All right, let's see our answers. So it is A. That is an Iberian lynx, a really cool cat. And B is a spotted skunk. That's a skunk that lives here in Nevada. All right, I've got another one for you. Oh, good job. So most people are guessing B. This one was a little tougher. Good job, good job. So this is a cat called a caracal. It lives in Africa. And this other animal, I tried to make this one a little more difficult, is a maned wolf. They live in South America. All right, we've got a couple more. This one's a little more difficult. Oh, you guys are good. You guys are so good. So most people are guessing A and B. Let a couple more answers come in. Ooh, Victoria H, good job. So she guessed that ocelot and serval, and you are correct. Those are both felines. Good job. All right, we've got three more for you. All right, we've got a lot of people are saying neither. They're saying nope. They're saying these are foxes. And you guys are right. These are both foxes. We've got a gray fox and a kit fox, and they are not felines. They are not cats. All right. Got a lot of votes coming in for A. Good job. Good job. Keep it up. And B is a badger. So we've got a badger, people coming in the chat. We've got a cheetah and a badger. Good job. Good job. All right, we've got one more. We've got a cute little face right here and an aquatic mammal here. Lots of people guessing A. Someone got it, Lou. That is a sand cat. This small cat here is a sand cat. And someone said this is a sea lion. And most of you got this right. Sea lions, even though they have lion in the name, which we know is a cat or a feline, are not cats. It's just a sea lion. So thank you everyone for participating in our super fun game of Feline and Faux. We are going to continue on. And Jess, if you want to go ahead and turn the chat off. So cats, there's a lot of different types of cats in the world. They have a lot of different diversity and a lot of them are really rare. I know a lot of you are probably familiar. Some of you are very familiar with the sand cat, the serval, the cheetah. These are what some of those cats look like. And you guys did a great job at our Feline or Faux game. And I wanted to play that fun game to show you what some of the different cats are that we have in the world. None of those were Nevada natives. But also to show you that all of those cats looked really alike. So when you see a cat, you know it's a cat. They have a lot of similar features. You all did really, really well in guessing which ones were which. And cats live pretty much throughout the whole entire world. They do not live in Australia. There are animals that live in Australia that are called cats, but they are not cats, they're marsupials. So there's no cats in Australia, but pretty much every other continent except for Antarctica have cats. So we are going to dive in closer to our cats of North America. And we have 6 species that are found in North America. We've got the mountain lion, the Canada lynx, the bobcat, the jaguar ocelot, and the jaguarundi. And I'm sure a lot of you have probably never seen any of these cats in the wild, because that is something that's really, really cool about cats, is that they are very secretive. They're all very well camouflaged. They're usually awake when we're asleep. So the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to give you a poll, and I want you to tell me, out of these animals, these cats, which species do you think live in Nevada? And you can pick multiple. And so our choices are jaguar, ocelot, Canada lynx, bobcat, jaguarundi, mountain lion. And so we have votes for jaguar, ocelot, Canada lynx, bobcat, and mountain lion. Overwhelmingly, almost everyone has voted for the mountain lion, and almost everyone has voted for the bobcat. We've got a couple votes for the Canada lynx, very few for the ocelot, and very few for the jaguar. So I'm going to go ahead and end this poll if you want to get your answer in the next couple seconds, and then you can all see the results. So the correct answer is that we have 2 species that live here in Nevada, and they are the mountain lion and the bobcat. So we are going to spend most of our time talking about these 2 species. The jaguar, ocelot, the jaguarundi, they are very, very rarely found in the United States. When they are found in the United States, they are in very southern New Mexico and Arizona, sometimes into Texas, but never in Nevada. That would be just crazy if we ever had them in Nevada. But those are found sometimes in these areas. Now, I was looking up about jaguars because I thought that was really cool that sometimes we have jaguars in the United States, and the last time they've been seen in the United States was in New Mexico, and it was very, very close to the border, and it was in 2016, and it was on a trail camera. So that is a very, very rare find in the United States, but jaguars are the largest cat found in North America. They are bigger than mountain lions. So those are pretty cool animals that, although we don't see in Nevada, you could see somewhere in the United States if you got really, really, really lucky. So we are going to continue on. We're going to learn about what makes a cat a cat. Why do we call cats cats? What characteristics make them different? We know that they're beautiful animals. Some of them are really cute, and they're super secretive, and they have all of these different characteristics. But what exactly makes a cat a cat? And when we talk about this, we're actually going to go into comparing them more with dogs, and you'll see why in just a second. So I'm going to get a little deep dive in here. We're going to talk a little bit about taxonomy and classification, because this makes it a little easier to divvy out how we got to having cats in the classification that they are. And this is the taxonomy breakdown of a mountain lion. So I also want to say that as scientists, we love to put things in boxes. So taxonomy and classification, it's also always changing. And sometimes it changes, and some scientists agree with it, and some scientists don't. They keep doing it the old way. And taxonomy is something that changes all the time. So I would not be surprised if some of the stuff that I tell you today changes in the future or is in the process of being changed right now. But for right now, we're going to break it down. When we think of these classifications, it's kind of like an address. So if we wanted to zoom out from ourselves as far as we could go, we would say that we live in the Milky Way galaxy, right? That's a named galaxy. That's where we live. We live in our solar system. We live around the sun. That's our solar system. We can take it down to another level. We live on planet Earth. We live in the United States. We live in the state of Nevada. You live on a specific street. Your house has a specific street number. And that is where you get your mail. So we know that that's one person. And that's kind of how taxonomy works. So when we're classifying an animal like a mountain lion, we put them in kingdom, which is big. And so the farthest out that we can go is the kingdom. And the kingdom is the animal kingdom. Cats are not plants. They are not mushrooms. They're not bacteria. They're animals. And then we can go down, and there's phylum. So chordates, those are animals that have spinal cords. So most animals, mammals, we're all going to have spinal cords. The class is Mammalia. So cats are obviously mammals. The order is Carnivora. They are meat eaters, which we will talk about. Not all animals that are under the order Carnivora eat meat. Then we get down to that family, Felidae. So that's where our cats are. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Then we get down to genus, Puma, and then species is concolor. So genus, species is that scientific name. So when we say mountain lion, that's our common name. But Puma concolor is the scientific name of a mountain lion. And I will tell you right now, when I was in college and we were learning scientific names, they're not always easy to pronounce, but my professor told me to just say them with confidence. So that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I think you should do too. So we are going to look at the order Carnivora, because that is where we divide up. So this was not listed in this breakdown, but there's a lot of subdivisions because, like I said before, Scientists like to put things in boxes, and they like to change those boxes too. So the order Carnivora is divided into two suborders. There's Caeniformia and Feliformia. And from the sound of it, you can probably tell that our order Carnivora is literally divided in between dog-like and cat-like. So there's some different characteristics that differentiate these. And so that's where we get what makes a cat a cat. And you can see there's more families of animals in our dog-like carnivores than there are with our feline carnivores. And so looking here, this is phylogeny is what this is called when we divvy out. And so these are our suborders here. And so looking at our phylogeny here, you can see we're going to dive a little deeper into differences in some of their skulls. But you can see all of these families here. And when we were playing that feline versus faux game, I chose animals from a lot of different caeniform families here. Excuse me. So they have the Caeniformia are very diverse. And so we have the Caenidae here, which are what we know. Those are dogs, wolves, foxes, very familiar. And we are going to compare the Caenidae to this family here under Feliformia, the Felidae, which are also the cats. But if we look over at this Caeniformia, we can see we've got Ursidae, those are bears. We've got this whole pinniped. This is another subdivision. These are aquatic mammals, so I put the sea lion in there because the sea lion is a dog-like carnivore. They fall under that. So walrus, sea lions, and seals all fall under these dog-like carnivores. Then we've got the red pandas and skunks and raccoons, and then otters and weasels and badgers and those types of animals. On the other side, with the Caeniformia, we're really familiar with a lot of those animals. We know what they are. On the other side, with the Feliformia, we're familiar with the Felidae, but a lot of these other ones are a little different for us. So, for example, some of these, this one right here, these are palm African civets. This one right here is civets and genets. This is mongooses, pretty cute, and hyenas right here. And then there's two divisions of two different types of mongooses in Feliformia. But we are going to focus on this Felidae right here. And we're going to compare that to our Caenidae. And so with the cats of the world, all of these cats are under that Felidae. These are all cats under Felidae. So hopefully I'm not confusing you too much. There are 36 species under Felidae, and those are cats. So let's compare their skulls. What makes them different? What makes them different? We know that there's probably some behavioral differences, but it goes even deeper. And so this is comparing a felid skull to a canid skull. And you can see the differences right away. We've got big eyes, small eyes, long nose, short nose, but a lot of the teeth look a lot alike. So right here, these teeth that are circled, and this is only showing one top of it. Obviously, you can't see the other. Those are called carnassials. And carnassial teeth are what make carnivores carnivores. And these are the teeth that are used for shearing meat. So not the canines here, because monkeys and other animals have those. But these teeth right here are what make carnivores carnivores. And then another thing is this right here is not present here. This is called auditory bully, and it's a enlarged area of the ear. And most animals that have a larger auditory bully usually have better hearing, and they can usually hear at a lower frequency too. And that pretty much checks out with what we know comparing cats versus dogs. We know that dogs and dog-like carnivores have amazing senses of smell. So of course they would have a lot longer nose or a lot more invested in their nose. And then animals that might use their ears more, you can see they're not investing in a long nose, they're investing in their ears. So that's some really low level. We're starting at the very beginning on what their differences are. But what are some of their differences besides the skull? So comparing them, we can see the long snout, the short snout. Canids do not have retractable claws. Cats do, the felids do, except for the cheetah. The cheetah does not have retractable claws. And with that, some cats only have semi-retractable claws as well. Moving further on, cats and felids, they are carnivores. They do not eat plant material, hardly ever. They are very strictly carnivores. I'm sure you've heard stories about people that want to feed their cats vegan diets, and then their cats a lot of times perish or don't do very well because they are not meant to eat anything but meat. Whereas our canids, they are more omnivorous. They eat more plant material with the animal material. And cats are a little more nocturnal. Our canids are going to be a little less nocturnal. Cats are more ambush predators, whereas our canids are run and chase predators. Again, the cheetah is more of an exception to that. The cheetah is a run and chase predator, whereas most cats are going to be those ambush predators. So tracks. Obviously, when we're talking about retractable claws and non-retractable claws, that totally is going to make an effect on the track. I will say I am a big runner. I like to run on the trails that we have around here in Reno, and I'm pretty active in some trail running groups and social media. And without fail, at least once every couple months, someone posts a track and they say, be careful on such and such trail. There's a big cat around here. And it's almost always a dog track. So being able to tell the difference between these two tracks is really important. So I'm going to point out some of the features here. Now this is our canine, this is probably a coyote track, and this is our cat track, our felid track. You can see there's on our canine track, there are visible claw marks, and there are none on our cat track. Now, some cat tracks could have claw marks in them. They can pull them in and out, but more often than not, there are not going to be claw marks. The other thing is that you can see the shape of this lobe here is a little more triangular. This cat track is like a really perfect track. I don't know if it's actually a real track, but you can very clearly see that a cat track has these 3 lobes at the bottom, whereas a dog track or a canine track is not going to have that. There might be a little indent in the middle. There might be 2 lobes, but not usually. And then a really easy way to tell is the cat track makes a C for cat, and our dog tracks or canine tracks make an X. So that's a great thing to open up. So those are some of our differences between our canines and our felines, and that's kind of what makes a cat and differentiates them from other mammals. So before we move on to learn about our bobcat, Jess, can you open up the chat and we'll answer some questions? So if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the chat. What's my favorite cat? I would say that my favorite cat is the black-footed cat. It lives in Africa. It is a small cat, and it's one of the smallest cats, but it has the highest success rate for hunting. It's 60% successful, so it's actually the most lethal cat, even though it's the smallest one. All right, we are getting a ton of questions, so I'm gonna scroll back up here. How many cats are in our area here in Reno? It's 2. Aren't house cats carnivores? Yes, house cats are carnivores, but we are talking about wild animals. So house cats, domestic cats, those are not wild animals. We're talking about our wild animals here. And a house cat is just like these cats. They are absolutely carnivores. Do you have a favorite app for tracks and scat while on trail? There is a really good one, and I'm totally blanking on what it is, but I did talk about it, and it's on YouTube. It's on Technology in Your Backyard, and I mentioned some app tracks, or some apps for tracks. So some of these questions we're going to answer. Someone asked, are both the bobcat and mountain lion readily present in southern Nevada? And the answer is yes. And we are going to we're going to talk about that more. How can you tell apart a bobcat from a lynx? We're going to talk about that. Why do some cats have spots and some have stripes? So the spots and the stripes are great camouflage. So it really depends on their habitat. So you'll find that a lot of jungle cats are going to have more spots because those spots look more like the light that is shining in through a very thick canopy, whereas striped cats, like a tiger that doesn't live in a jungle, they live in a more grassy area, that helps them with some of their camouflage. We're going to answer a lot of these questions. So okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn the chat off because a lot of the questions that we're getting, I'm going to answer once we continue. Thanks, Jess. All right, so we're going to talk about the bobcat. We're going to get into our Nevada native cats. So our bobcat, we're looking at that scientific name. It's a Lynx rufus, which is a really fun one. It's easy to say. And I'm going to put a little bit of the classification here. You can see the classification is exactly like our mountain lion, except it's in a different genus. So mountain lions, and that means that mountain lions and bobcats are pretty closely related. So range map, bobcats are the most abundant and the most widespread wildcat found in North America. They are found pretty much everywhere, and you can see there's some empty areas here. This map is from 2007, and so I wish that it had a different color there because they are sometimes found in these areas, just not in any real abundance. It would be super, super rare. And to be fair, it would be very rare for you to see a bobcat even in areas where they are abundant because they're so secretive and they're so camouflaged. So that's where they live. And in Nevada, they can be found anywhere in Nevada except for the driest areas. They are an animal, they need food and water, and they need to eat things, and other things that they eat also need water. So those driest areas, you probably won't find them. But other than that, they're going to be everywhere. And we know that Nevada's habitat is not like Maine's habitat or Florida's habitat. So they are an incredibly adaptable species. They're able to live all over the place. So let's talk about the ID. So they're called a bobcat because they have that bobbed tail. And someone asked in the chat why they have such a short tail, and I don't know. They are just like that. And so the genus, they're lynx. All lynx have this bobbed tail. I'm sure it has something to do with adapting to not injuring their tail along the way, and they found that it was more efficient to get rid of that tail, but I'm not really sure. They typically have ear tufts. This particular individual does not have very large ear tufts. It does change. They also have ruffs on their face, which is what gives them that very round, kind of sideburny look with the beard. Their size is 8 to 35 pounds. A 35-pound bobcat would be pretty large. They get about 2 to 3.5 feet long. They're about 2 feet tall. And I will say, bobcats are way smaller than everyone thinks. I used to be a zookeeper and we had a bobcat, and our bobcat was actually on the larger side. And that was the most made comment that we had on our bobcat, was that they were like, oh, she's only a little bit bigger than my house cat. And it's true. They really are not that much bigger than a house cat. Now there's obviously ranges on both ends. You could have a really, really small bobcat. You could come across a really, really large bobcat, but they're really not as big as we think they are. And so I wanted to talk about these white spots. This is a really easy indicator that you're looking at a bobcat. They have these white spots on the back of their ears. And I'm going to be honest, I have heard so many different reasons about why they have these white spots, and I don't really know what to believe. I've read that it's for scaring off predators. They can flip their ears up and scare off predators because they kind of look like eye spots. I've read that they're used for communicating with other bobcats. I've read that it's so that bobcat kittens that are following their moms can see their mom in the dark. But other than that, those are some of the reasons why they have the ear spots. And I don't really know which one is right. They all could be right. So bobcats are this small size, and someone said it in the chat. They were like, how do we tell the difference between bobcats and lynx? And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. Bobcats are often confused with lynx, and they're in some parts of North America, their ranges do overlap. Not here in Nevada, we do not have lynx. Lynx are a cold weather cat. But this is a lynx, a Canada lynx. Their scientific name is Lynx canadensis. So they've got that lynx genus. So our mountain lion, the genus is puma. Our lynx genus is lynx, which is the same genus as bobcat. So our bobcat and lynx are much more closely related than the mountain lion. So the lynx here, it's even shown in an icy area. They are a cold weather cat, and they are very, very well adapted for it. They have longer legs than a bobcat. You can see they've got like really robust fur on their paws, and that's because they have fur that covers the bottom of their feet so that the pads on their feet don't freeze. And they're a little bit more gray, and that's to blend in with gray rocky outcrops and snow. So remember these pictures and remember what I told you because I'm going to quiz you. So one of these is a bobcat and one of these is a lynx. And I want you to go ahead and fill out this poll and let me know which one you think is a bobcat. So which of these pictures is a bobcat? And I'm going to go ahead and repeat some of the things. So bigger, furrier paws, longer legs, and a little more gray fur is going to be our lynx. The bobcat is going to have shorter legs. It's not going to have not as fluffy paws, and is not going to be as gray colored. They're a little more rufous, a little more buff. All right, we've got people still taking the quiz. All right, I'm gonna give you 5 more seconds to fill out the poll here. All right, gonna go ahead and end it and share the results. So the answer is B. Good job, most of you got it. It is hard though. It's hard to tell the difference. You can see this one does have a little bit longer legs, and it's got those super fuzzy big paws. And this one looks like it might be a little younger. This one is a little more brown, but the bobcat has a little bit shorter legs, and its paws aren't quite so fluffy. So good job, guys. So looking at tracks, we were talking about those tracks, and I'm going to show these tracks a couple more times because I want to make sure that everyone knows the difference between a cat track and a dog track. But a bobcat track is going to look very, very similar to our cougar track. The only difference is going to be the size. They are much, much smaller. And so again, it has that characteristic C for cat, and then X for canines. So food, what do our bobcats eat? So a bobcat's favorite meal is cottontails and jackrabbits. They love rabbits, but they will also eat other things. They will eat birds, rodents, occasionally a reptile or two. They can leap really, really high. They are an ambush predator. They stalk and leap to take their prey. They can also run 30 miles an hour. And although they are small, they can take down larger prey. This is a picture from one of our wildlife biologists where they caught this bobcat taking down a bighorn sheep, and it was successful. So don't underestimate a bobcat. They can take down pretty large prey. And they will also, if they take down something really large, they will cache it and they will leave it until they come, and they will come back later and eat off of that large animal. They can run 30 miles an hour. They are fast. Cats are athletes. They're so athletic and strong, and it's amazing. So that is a lot of information on our bobcats. We're going to go ahead and open the chat box. If you have questions about bobcats, now is your chance to go ahead and type those in the chat box. Do bobcats eat house cats as food? Not regularly. I would say they probably would if it came along, but I don't think they would go out of their way to go after them. How high can they jump? They can jump about 12 feet. How much meat does a bobcat need to eat a day? That is a really good question. I don't know. Would a bobcat attack a person? The answer is most likely not. Bobcats are very small and we are very large. Even a small child would scare off a bobcat. And this is one thing that I like to remind people is predators have eyes on the front of their faces. And our eyes are also on the front of our faces. So when animals see us, I mean, first off, they're like, what the heck are you? But they know that we are a threat automatically without us doing anything because our eyes are on the front of our heads. If you think about prey species, rabbits, deer, sheep, all of their eyes are on the sides of their heads so they can look behind them and in front of them to watch out for predators. So we fit into that predator category, and another predator doesn't want competition. So a bobcat attacking a person would be incredibly rare. I won't say impossible, but incredibly rare. Do bobcats sometimes mate with house cats? You know, I have heard about rumors about bobcats or house cats that are half bobcat, but I do not know. That is a great question. How often do bobcats enter residential areas? Honestly, probably a lot more than we think because they are so sneaky, but they're opportunists. So they are going to go and enter into areas anytime they can find food. Where are their dens? How many in one litter? So typically a litter is two kittens, sometimes 3, sometimes 1, but 2 is probably the most common. Where are their dens? They could be anywhere. So they could keep them in little rock outcroppings, anywhere that they can find a type of shelter or cover. A lot of times a bobcat and bobcat kittens is something that people sometimes find like near their houses in these residential areas. How did bobcats get their name? They got their name from their bobtail, so they're a bobcat. Are bobcats always spotted? So that's a great question. They are not always spotted. And a lot of the pictures that I've shown, some of them are spotted and some of them aren't. And when they're kittens, they're gonna have a lot more markings with the spots. But when they get older, sometimes they don't lose their spots and sometimes they do. Someone says, I've seen bobcats near my home at 7,000 feet in snow. How do they survive in winter? So they probably have a warm place to stay. They also grow a thick winter coat. That's amazing. They are an amazing adapted animal. They're able to live everywhere. Do coyotes eat bobcats? Yeah, I'm sure a coyote would prey on a bobcat if they had the opportunity. What kind of signs do bobcats leave around? So a bobcat would leave tracks, maybe some scat. They definitely mark things with, they spray it with urine. Yeah. Are bobcats fluffy? Yes, they're very fluffy. Could a bobcat take down a coyote? I don't know. That would be, animals aren't looking for the hardest fight, so I don't know why a bobcat would ever try to take down a coyote. But how old can they get? So typical in the wild is hard to say, 10 to 14 years. They are pretty long lived. In captivity, they can live up to 30 years. Are bobcats found in the Galena Creek area as well as White Creek's trail area, and how big is their range? So yes, bobcats are found all throughout Nevada, so any of those places, and their range is very, very large throughout the United States. I don't know exactly about their territories because bobcats are also territorial. All right, so that's a lot of questions. Thank you so much, guys. We're going to go ahead and shut down the chat, and we are going to start talking about our other cat, the mountain lion. So I'm showing our classification one more time. We've got that scientific name, that Puma concolor, that genus species in that Felidae family. So mountain lions are a really interesting animal because they have so many names. These are all the same animal. Mountain lion, puma, cougar, catamount, panther, ghost cat, shadow cat. These are all mountain lions. They are all Puma concolor, that scientific name, genus species. Those are all mountain lions, and they have more names than this. This isn't even all the names. This is their range, and you can see their range. I did not know this. I did not know that mountain lions lived in North America all the way down to the tip of Argentina. They are the most widespread cat in the entire Western Hemisphere. And thinking about the fact that they live down in Argentina, there are penguins that live on the coast, the southern coast of South America. So there are places, this was blowing my mind, there are places where mountain lions and penguins, like their range overlaps. It's crazy. So this is their whole South American and North American range. But I wanted to talk about in North America because our bobcat population is still very widespread. They are doing really, really well. For the most part, they're probably in decline, as most of our wild species are in decline. But our mountain lion used to be coast to coast. They used to be all throughout the United States. But habitat loss and habitat degradation kind of pushed them out of the east and pushed them to the west. So we can see that we have the known range here all throughout the west. And then someone was asking questions about the population in Florida. So the Florida population is a subspecies, that Florida panther species. There are a lot of scientific disagreements among that too. Some scientists say they're not a separate subspecies, it's the same. Some do. It just depends on what you read. But the last thing that I read said that it was a subspecies. So I'm going to say it's a subspecies. And then all these dots are incidental observations. So they found like one or two, some a little bit more, up here in the Upper Peninsula, here into areas of Colorado. We're finding more mountain lions. And so it is possible that our mountain lion range could be throughout the entire United States again. It just depends on what some of our work is that we're doing. So IDing a mountain lion. I think, to me, they are incredibly distinctive, especially when you are comparing them to any other animal that you could find in North America. They're large, they've got long tails, they're furry, they are that singular buff color, which is where their species name comes from, is being one continuous color. They don't have the ear tufts. They can get pretty large. And again, these ranges are just a range. There can be individuals that exceed on both ends of the spectrum, but 75 to 180 pounds in Nevada, a 180-pound mountain lion is considered very large. They're 5 to 6 feet long. That doesn't include their tail. So 5 to 6 feet long, and then adding on that 2.5 to 3.5 foot long tail. It's a very, very large animal. Their favorite food is mule deer. So if you are in Nevada and you live in an area where you see a lot of mule deer, there are probably mountain lions around. You probably have mountain lions in your area. They will take down elk and then also lots of small mammals and then other predators. Our mountain lions, they are at the top of the food chain. They are an apex predator. They are going to feed on anything below it. They can leap really, really far. They can leap 20 feet. They can sprint at 50 miles per hour. They can sustain a run at 10 miles per hour, which is a 6-minute mile, which for any length of time, that's very, very quick. So they are incredibly good at what they do. They're very good at taking down prey. So before I go and compare our mountain lions to bobcats, I'm going to go ahead and open up that chat box again for questions. Oh, someone asked a question that I wasn't able to answer before. How different is the meow between a bobcat and other cats? How different is their sound? So bobcats and mountain lions, they do not meow. They actually aren't super vocal. There's like the mountain lion screams that go around, but they very, very rarely do that. Are mountain lions hunted in Nevada? Yes, you can legally hunt mountain lions in Nevada. What are some tips for seeing a mountain lion? So the first thing is that you need to be very quiet. And I will say I have looked for mountain lions. I've never once found one. They do not want to be found. It is very, very difficult to do. When people hunt mountain lions, they typically use dogs, and the dogs put the mountain lions up in a tree. I don't really have a ton of suggestions. I know when I went out looking for mountain lions once, I talked to one of our wildlife biologists, and he said, be really quiet and see if you can find a kill first, because if you find a cache, there's a good chance there could be a mountain lion around. And then he did tell us to wear a backpack that covered our neck, just to make sure that we were keeping ourselves safe. So someone asked, how many mountain lions are there in Nevada? And that is a very, very difficult question to answer, because they are so secretive. We can't just go out and count them like we do with a lot of other species. They're so secretive. So we do have some mountain lions that have collars on them. So we do get some collar data. And I know that our wildlife biologists are working on different programs and different projects that they're trying to implement so that they can get a more clear number of how many mountain lions there are in Nevada. How long do they live? Mountain lions are also in that same bobcat range. In the wild, they are going to live between 10 and 14 years. In captivity, they could live as long as 30 years. Are they normally seen in Tahoe? So probably not. And that doesn't mean they're not there though. Mountain lions do not want to be seen, and they're there, but you're probably not going to see them. Where would you most likely see one? You're not likely to see them anywhere. Someone asked, we saw a mountain lion behind our fence. Would it attack our dog? Depends on how big your dog is. If you have a big dog, probably not, but it's not impossible. Mountain lions do not understand the concept of pets. This is for verbatim what our wildlife biologist told me, and I thought it was really great. They don't understand what a pet is. They don't understand that, you know, your domestic dog is not food. So they could potentially attack your dog. It's something that you need to be careful about if you have, especially if you have smaller dogs. They don't see a pet, they see a potential meal. So we love cats. I love cats, but there is the potential for them to impact your pets. How far will a mountain lion travel? They will travel very, very far. They will. They just will. They will travel super far. I don't have a number for it, but they will travel very far. Who is their natural enemy? So bears sometimes, and sometimes a coyote, but very rarely. More often than not, a mountain lion's biggest predator is us through hitting them with cars and unnatural things like that. Oh, this is a great question. Do mountain lions stay in packs like coyotes? How long do cubs stay with their mother? So mountain lions and bobcats are solitary. They do not form packs. They this picture here, that's a mom with her 2 kittens, or cubs, whatever you want to say. So if you see a mountain lion with another mountain lion, it's probably a mom and cubs. The only time they're not solitary and it's not a mom is when they are looking for other mountain lions to mate with. And the cubs stay with their moms a little over a year. Someone asked why the baby mountain lions have spots, and that is because that gives them a little more camouflage so they can stay still in one area, because they're just little babies. They don't have as much ways to defend themselves, and the mom has to go looking for food. So this is a good thing to know about baby animals, is that if you find any baby animal alone, it does not mean it needs your help. They are colored the way they are to help protect them from predators, and their best defense is staying very still. And their moms have to go out and get them food. So that's why they have spots, and that's a disclaimer to leave baby animals alone. They do not need to be bothered most of the time. Someone asked, is NDOW or other groups doing any tracking studies on either cat in Nevada? So there aren't tracking studies throughout Nevada. USGS is doing a tracking study on the mountain lions within the test site, and there's a really cool YouTube video on it. Some of our wildlife biologists help on that project, and they do track we do track some mountain lions because we're looking to see how many bighorn sheep they're preying on. So we're tracking the mountain lions to monitor the wild sheep foundation, or the wild sheep population. Can they be seen around Reno? Yes, we do get mountain lions. How can you tell a baby bobcat from a baby mountain lion? Well, those ear spots, they do look alike. I'm sure a baby mountain lion looks a little bigger, but the ear spots and their tails, that's how you can tell them. Ooh, someone's seen one in Rio. Yes, someone asked, because we allow the mountain lions to be hunted, that we have a general idea of the population. We do. We do have a general idea of the population, but it's not one number. So we have several thousand mountain lions throughout the state of Nevada. Yeah. Do we have GPS collars on lions in Nevada? Yes, we do. We do have some GPS collars on Nevada mountain lions. Are mountain lions aggressive like bears with their young? I would say yes, but most likely you're probably not going to run into them. Why are mountain lions called mountain lions? They live in mountainous areas and they are the same color as African lions, I would say. All right, I'm going to answer one more question. Are there albino mountain lions? Yeah. So in the animal kingdom, and you can go ahead and shut the chat off, Jess. In the animal kingdom, we get all sorts of colors. There's albinism, which is the complete lack of melanin. There's also leucistic or leucistic animals, which are very, very light, but they just have a lack of melanin. Or they have less melanin. They just don't have none. So you'll have really, really light looking animals, or sometimes there'll be birds that'll have like a couple white, like very, very white spots on their body. And then we have melanism, which is on the other end of the spectrum, too much melanin. So you could also find a completely black mountain lion too. So yeah, they come in all different colors, but more often than not, they're going to be this beautiful buff color. All right, thanks for all those great questions. So we're gonna move on. We're almost done. We're gonna quickly compare mountain lion versus bobcat. So some of the similarities are that they both will cache large food items so that they can go back and eat it. They are both highly adaptable, able to live in so many different types of habitat. They're both solitary. Again, if they're seen together, it's usually a family unit. They're sneaky, they're hard to find. They're both really secretive. They both have great camouflage. They also both establish territories, and they are both heavy carnivores. Very, very little plant matter found in a mountain lion or a bobcat's diet. So some of the differences, obviously size is one of the biggest one, and some of those physical differences, the mountain lion has a long tail, the bobcat has a short tail. Position in the food chain. So the mountain lion is at the top. The bobcat, while still a predator, is so small that it is susceptible to being predated on by other mountain lions, other bobcats potentially, coyotes, those types of things. And their diets are the same in that they're all meat, but a bobcat's preferred food are rabbits, jackrabbits, and cottontails, whereas the cougar or the mountain lion is going to prefer those larger mule deer, potentially elk, those larger animals. And here is a reference for that size. And I was talking about the difference between domestic cat and bobcat, and you can see that domestic cat is really not that much smaller than a bobcat. But then if you compare that domestic cat to a mountain lion, that mountain lion is much, much bigger. So their sizes are very different. And so one last time before we wrap up here, I want to show these tracks. So we've got that cougar track, that mountain lion track that has those lobes on it. It has that C, no claws on it. The coyote is going to have those claws, and our bobcat is going to look just like the mountain lion, but smaller. And so I'll show you that again. So C for cat, X for dog or coyote. And a coyote print and a dog print, there's almost no difference besides size. There's like little teeny tiny differences. So it's really difficult to tell a dog track from a coyote track, especially if it's a coyote sized dog. So before I wrap this all up, I do want to just say that living here in Nevada, we are so lucky to live in an area that is shared with some of these species. Now, I know I've told you a lot that it would be so rare if you ever saw one of these, but that makes it even more special if you did get to see one. They're a little bit of a mystery. They can be a little scary at times, but we really are so lucky to live in an area where these cats also live here. And so thank you so much for joining us. After you leave this meeting, so I am going to open up questions at the very end. So if you have more questions, I'm going to try and answer some of them. There are so many of you on this, though. I'm going to leave my contact. So if you have more questions and I didn't get to them in the chat, you can go ahead and email me and I'll try and find answers to those questions. But after this, after you leave this meeting, you will be prompted to take a survey. And it's a little link, you click it. There's only like 4 questions. Please take the survey. Tell us how we're doing. Tell us what you want to see. We want to continue to use this format even after we are able to do in-person programming. So we really, really like to know your feedback. And then also, we have lots of great programs coming up. So I wanted to make sure that you knew about what was coming up. So tomorrow at 2 p.m., there is a virtual Hunter Ed course, and it's a series, but if you haven't made it to the other ones and you just want to come check it out and learn a little bit more about hunter education, you totally can. On Tuesday the 26th at 5 p.m., there will be a program on backyard wildlife, so wildlife that you can find in your backyard. On Wednesday the 27th at 6 p.m., this is an encore program because it was so popular, called Oxbow After Dark, and it's talking about nocturnal critters and some of the creatures that are found at the Oxbow Nature Study area. And even if you aren't local to Reno, there's a lot to learn there. On Thursday the 28th, there is an elusive animals program, and this is a 2-part program, but even if you can't make it to the first one, you can hop in on the second one. You won't miss anything. It's just a little bit different information. And those are about more rare animals and harder to find animals that are in Nevada, and animals that really kind of define Nevada. Friday the 29th is a program called Southern Nevada Fish. You can learn about some of the fish that we find in Southern Nevada, where you can go to fish for them, and get some suggestions about that. And that is also a series, but it's different every time. So if you miss one or you haven't gone to any of them before, you can go ahead and jump in, and that's at 6 p.m. So please, all of those are up on our Facebook, and you can register for them there. And so with that, before I answer questions, I also want to tell you, please listen to our state health department on what the current rules are with getting outside during the COVID pandemic, and please listen to what those recommendations are, and please stay safe. And with that, this is my contact, and these are some of NDOW's employee pets. So you can see whether we're cat people or dog people. But with that, thank you so much for attending. I am going to stick around and answer questions. But again, if I don't get to your question, please send it to my email. I also have some links and sources like that video that I talked about. So if you're interested in that, just shoot me an email and I'll send it your way. You're welcome, Victoria. Do cats hibernate? No, not typically. Oh, you're welcome, Kathy. We have so much more coming on too. What was the breed of the cat on the middle far right? Which slide was that on? Oh, Alicia, if you use these in your classroom, could you let me know? We can send you some other stuff possibly too. Oh, cool, Girl Scouts. Fun. So Laura, when you exit the meeting, the survey will pop up and you'll just click on it. Why do cats like to eat flowers? I don't know. I'm assuming you're talking about a domestic flower or a domestic cat. How much food can a bobcat eat in one day? I don't know. That's a great question. And that kind of goes along with that other question that someone asked on how much do they need a day, which is really interesting. Oh, someone's asking me if I'm a cat person or a dog person. I'm both. I love them both, but I only have a dog. Where do they hide during the day? So mountain lions and bobcats make what are called day beds. And so they find little places to tuck themselves in and kind of hang out because they are nocturnal. They're more active during the day. And to be fair, they are more crepuscular, which makes sense because they prey on deer, which are more crepuscular. Someone said that a cougar snatched a small dog on Timberline Road and owner saw and reported it. Yeah, that happens. Um, we have to be vigilant. I love cats, bobcats, and mountain lions, but they are predators. Oh yes, so yes, that cat was a feral cat that was taken in, and she rescued it. So that's why I had the clipped ear. It had been a part of a TNR, the trap, neuter, release program. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. Again, this gets recorded and it will be put up on our YouTube channel within a couple days or weeks, depending on how long it takes. And one last question, where do sandcats live? Sandcats live in Northern Australia and the Middle East. So thank you so much for joining, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. Again, that's my email if you want to send any other questions, because I know there were a lot of questions in there that I didn't get to, and this will be up on YouTube in the future. Thanks a lot.